Okay. So we're starting with our lessons. You don't have to be performing what I'm performing. You can be writing notes. So let me look for the name of a database which will come at the very top here. So we'll be doing literally everything we've done before, but we will not be using the drag and drop kind of approach. Okay, so I want a database that I can create and it can come somewhere here. Right. So if you come here to your server management studio and you press new query, it opens a page for you here where you can code your database structures. So based on the notes, we will be starting by learning how to create a database and then learning how to create tables and then start managing them from there. Now, we don't have a database that we've created yet, so we need to create one using the queries. So the queries are very simple. So you can write create database and then you give it a name, right? So in this case, I can say create me a database called all in class. Okay, and then once you're done with that, you can just press execute. Then you read what's going to happen at the end here. It says command completed successfully. Then it gives you the stamp time thing. Now that database, for you to see it, I need to refresh here. Then it should come somewhere at the very top. All in class. There it is. You can see it now. So it does create a database and it comes normally like the other database with everything that you would expect. So this is basically how you will create a database. You can, just remember that you need to mention that you are creating a database. Then let's write another query now to create the tables on this database. So now, because we've got a lot of databases that I can have access to, first thing I need to deal with is to write the word use. Then I will call up my database that I just created, right? So if I say all in class like that, that means whatever I'm going to write underneath here is going to be implemented on this particular database, right? Which is this one that I created here. So use all in class, that is the name of the database. Then from there, I can start telling it what table do I want. So there is currently no table here, so we're going to create a table with all those values that we want. So let's go and write the statement for creating a table. Create table, then you give it a name. Let's call this one students, right? And then from there, you just need to mention the columns, right? But you must put them in brackets. So in short, this thing looks like this. The other thing I should mention while we're still here in the early stages of the queries is that SQL is not case sensitive. So I can write this like this. Create. There will be no problem, right? I can still write this database like this. There's still no problem. So it's not case sensitive, right? You just need to get the right spelling. So the reason it's called structured query language is because the S there, the structure one, means that you will be using words that are known in SQL. Everything that you write and it changes color, that means you are following the right structure. You follow it? So there is not a lot of words that you're going to write that are coming from your head. None like that. You can see here the only thing I had to come up with was this, right? Which is the name of the database. You will see even here, the only thing I'm coming up with is this one, right? The name of the table. Most of the things are a structure. You just follow a certain structure. So there's no need for you to be struggling with this. So if we're creating a table, we need to give it columns, right? So for example, this is just for me. You don't have to write it in this fashion. We're not implementing it. Why are you clicking your mouse? We're writing notes. We're not doing what I'm doing here. I don't want you to say you are too fast. You are writing the notes. Ne? If I'm too fast, that's because you were trying to follow me. Don't do that. I'm recording the session, by the way. So I will still upload and then you can follow and pause as you wish. Now from here, you need to start giving it column names as we used to do previously and mention whether it's a null or not and the type of data that it's going to hold. So, good. So let's start with column names. So for example, we can say the first one is student number. Right, but you can separate this, so I can say this is student number, and then you need to mention what is the data type of this student number, right? And whether it's a primary key or not. I'm not sure whether we put the data type in the beginning or at the end. Is it at the end? Okay. People are watching the videos. So we do it like this. So student number, then the type will be int. But then remember, I've showed you already that you can specify the identity, right? In most cases, we're using one-on-one. So you can also do it here. Identity. There we go. If you write it and it doesn't change color, it's not the one. Right? That's why it's called structured. Then identity. Remember, our identity start on the seed, then there's an increment, right? So you can say the seed is 2022-001. Okay, assuming this is structure of our student number and the increment is 1. Next up, I can still mention that this is not null, right? So you can go and say not null. We're still on the first column, eh? Yes. We're still dealing with just one column called student number. It's of type integer. We're specifying the identity here. The student number, our very first student number will start here, right? The next one will be 02, 03, like that. So this is the identity. We're saying it's not null. You can still mention that this is a primary key, right? So primary key. It's a lot, eh? Just in one column. Now, the style I want you guys to learn in terms of writing queries is very simple. I want you guys to learn that every word that has to change color to become blue must be written in capital letters. It makes it easier for you to identify what is the structure and what are the words that you came up with. So for example, this one we will change it to int. This one, identity, even the not null here, even if they didn't change colors, we'll also deal with the primary key. Like that. So our table so far only has a single column. Let me just increase here. Our table so far only has a single column called student number. It's an integer type. It's also an identity. It's starting this first student number will be this, increased by 1 all the time when we have the next person. Then it's not a null. Then we have it as a primary key. Now when we're done with this, you can go ahead and add more columns using separating them with a comma at the end of each column, right? There's my comma there. You don't have to get out of the brackets to do this. Next up, now let's just say we're looking for full names. Full names. And then this one, we're going to put them as variable character. and we're going to anticipate that the size of the name should not exceed 50. Okay, let's go again and deal with an email of this particular student. We'll again put it as a variable character. We'll also anticipate that the size should not exceed 75. Okay, so basically this is it. We can go ahead and implement foreign keys once we've got other tables, right? So when you're done with this, you just need to press execute. If you get this nice message, your things are working fine. I can refresh here now. You will basically see that table which has been created, right? And then if I right click and say show me the design, oh, I forgot to say not null on this one, but I can still do it here and save. Okay, so this is basically it. Let's go now and start managing this table, or let's do one more table, but we're not going to connect it to this one so far. What should we do? No, let's manage this table first and compute all the queries. So far we've done the creating a database, right? We just did creating a table and we've seen some few things. But this, if you have done your database using this, whatever I'm writing here sort of makes sense. So, oh, we're writing this, or this is what. Unless you have not been following the other parts we did, right? And you've just been rushing.
Before you continue, I wanted to go back
to
on your table. Yes. Let's say I did my database this way, and then when I go to the one that you were using, class and editing, if I did it this way, when I go to maybe doing new queries, will they automatically appear?
I'm not sure I'm getting your question. If you do what? You are saying you will have done your database the way we've been doing it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then?
And it comes to the, please click on that. And I don't have to like edit. I don't have to write this in this form, sir. Actually, I'm not sure if
does it automatically appear?
This side.
This side.
Oh, you mean the creating. So it works both ways. So if you do your database, your tables like this, SQL already knows, like it can generate this table for you using queries. So you saw I said design, it brought me here, but this table was created using queries. So let's say I do a table the same way we've been doing it, and I say we've got product ID of type integer, it's not null. Then we've got the name of the product as variable character, 50 not null. We set this one as a primary key. We also set up the identity specification. This one is easy, right? To perform it like this. So let's say it's 100. Then we save our table as product. Done. Now let's refresh. The table will be here. You are very sure of that, right? But then we can also do this. I can right click on the table and say, show me this table on how it was created, right? This is the English. It's saying, I want this server management studio to create a query for me on how this table was created, right? So I can say, show me in a new query editor. It's going to generate the query based on that table. So but it won't be the same as the one we wrote. So, but you can still see it says create a table called product with product ID being an int, identity 101 not null primary key, right? Then the name of the product as variable character 50 not null, right? But then it continues to add more things that we have not yet touched. You get it? Okay, so I can easily come in and say, let's change this from product. We're going to call it product underscore 1. Execute this. There's already a primary key linked somewhere else. But you can still get queries from a table that was not created with queries, right? And you can get the table from queries. Now let's go manage these tables that we have created using queries. Okay, so normally what will happen is on student we'll go and say edit top 200 rows, right? This is what we are used to. So we don't have to input the student number because it's an identity. And then we just have to deal with the full names. So I'll do that. Then it will generate the student number for us, right? The other thing maybe I haven't spoken about is if ever I am now saying I'm gonna add Tinashe here and I say Banya, right? What is the maximum size of full names? 50, right? Let's just make sure that it's above 50. So I'm gonna add more letters. I'm sure it's above 50 now, but here I'll make sure things are fine. Now, the next student number was supposed to be what? 2022 001.
002.
2 next. That was supposed to be the next student number, right? But on the full names, on the full name, I made a mistake. You see how long it is. It's going to be above 50, right? Let's say I want to proceed. It's going to tell me something which happened on row 2 is not right. What, right? Good. I say, okay, let me go make it right and just add the correct one. Tinashe Banya. You said the next student number was supposed to be what? 2022 001, right? 002. Now, guess what's the next student number? It's 3, right? So the fact that I made a mistake doesn't mean that the student number was not generated. It was generated and it will still be recorded, right? But it's not going to be part of the table. Okay? So it's going to be stored somewhere on my error list. When I go to my error list, it will show me that there's a student number which ends with 002, which was supposed to be assigned to this person, but then because there was a mistake, it was not assigned to that person. Okay, so this is basically how you will add values in our table using the table itself. Now let's write a query to do the same thing. So don't forget, because we've got a lot of databases, you need to mention that use all in class, and then I will now mention the insert part. So insert into students. Okay, I got the student as a table here, into students. Now, the nature of this query says that if I'm inserting values, I must mention the name of the columns first, right? Okay, so let's deal with that first. So the name of the columns, I must put them in these brackets, right? So what is the first column? The first column of this table, student, is student number, right? But because student number will be generated, I don't have to mention it, right? But if it was not being generated, I needed to mention it. So student number, I'm not going to mention it because it's going to be generated. So I only see full names and what? An email. So you're supposed to mention those full names there. It's picking it up, comma, email. It's been picked up. So this is when you are directing what will you be inserting, right? From there, because it's one line. But SQL, it doesn't have an issue with you writing this like this. Every statement in its own line, right? It will still work. You get me, ne? I'm not saying now go and say insert, it must be separated like this. We've been taught it works, ne? So each statement can be on its own line. So from there, you now need to mention values, the values that are gonna fill those spaces there. must also be in brackets. But then these are supposed to be string values, so you must check your data type. So my data type in my thing here, it's varchar. So these are strings. So strings in SQL, very, something you must note down, because later on today when we start doing the C# applications, this will be one of the crucial parts. The string in SQL is identified using single quotation, right? So if I want to write a name here, I'll put a name here and say this is given. Right? You don't just have to come and write a name given like this. It will become a name of a column, right? And then it will keep looking for this given in this column. It will not find it, right? So you need to cover it with your what? Your single quotations. Then the other one is also a string. You must also cover it with single quotation. Like that. But then, if it was a number, you don't have to cover it with any quotation, right? And don't make a mistake of trying to cover it with double quotation. Don't do this, né? You can still see where it's not going to change colors. So you want this to be red. That's your mission. Okay, now, in our table, we're expecting given to appear very soon, né? So let's go to select top 1000 rows, just so you see the results. There's no given up to so far. We go to our query, we're inserting given. This is the email address. Then we execute. It says one row effect. This is a different message, right? The other one we're saying the command completed what. This is now we're dealing with a table. So this statement, if we go back to this one and say show us the values, given will be there, part of the list. Right? Is this thing difficult? It's difficult. All right. You're still gonna die. Now, this section of full names and email for mentioning the column, right? It's not really necessary. It's only necessary if you have a very long table and you are not sure about the order of the values you're putting. For example, if we can just shift this and put it here and say we don't know the order of the table, right? We don't know the order of the table. If I put it like this will be placed here at full names, right? Then the other one will be placed here like that, like that. So the reason we have to mention this order, matching this order, it's simply because of that. We want to make sure that this value goes straight to the email. This one goes straight to the other one. So I can swap this around if I've already swapped those ones. I also need to swap this one around. It's not supposed to complain at all because, then we execute. One row has been affected. We go check if ever there will be another given. You see there's another given now, right? But then let's say you decided, you know what, I know the order of my columns. You don't need this. Ne? If you remember the order of your columns, you don't need this. But can you see already that this is not exactly the order of our columns? Our columns started full names, then the email. So if I execute this, right, it still say one row has been affected. We go check the results. You can see that it has now swapped them around. Because if you don't mention the order of the column, it takes the original order of the column. Right? It will say we've got student number, it generates student number. Full names, it takes the first value you gave it. This one. Right? Then when it goes to email, it takes the second value you gave it. Any questions? Okay, so we've done how many statements? We've done create database, create table. We're now on insert. So let's say we just realized we made a mistake here on this particular person, which is, this one. Let's say the second given is not supposed to be given, it's supposed to be tender, right? So we're going to come here and say the person sitting at the specific location which is, or the person having the student number 2022-005, we want to change the full name from given to Tendai. Okay, we're gonna do that using queries. So we write a new query. But if you didn't want to use query, it was going to be very simple. You just go to student and you say, which one is it? Edit top 200. Okay, we need to close this one first so that it refreshes. Edit top 200. It will load all of them. Now, this can never be done anywhere else. Now, I don't know any company that allows you to open a table like this. Doesn't work. I will show you one. Because if ever they are telling me this given is supposed to be Tendai, right? And then I come here, it's during my lunchtime, then I receive a WhatsApp, you know. Then I'm trying to type Tendai there, Tendai, you know. Then I'm like, yo, I receive a bad call. Then I'm like, it's fine. Then I come back, I'm like, yo, I forgot what was here before. Let me check, you know. You know, you put your things here. Then you say next. These are immediate changes, right? And there's no undo here. Now, if ever I come and say the changes you made on that particular value are wrong, you need to reverse it. It's not going to be possible. There's no error capturing here. So unlike when we were doing this, the insert where it's able to capture an error to a certain student number, here it's not going to say, we remember what you had before here, right? There's no remembering, there's no undo. You can see the undo is turned off. So there's no organization that allows you to play around the edit top 200 and things like that. In most cases, you don't even see this server management studio. All you work with, you rather work on, you know, somewhere here and you'll be writing your queries here. You know, you'll be writing all of your queries here. You will never see the table like live where you will be like, all you do is see all of these shenanigans that we are busy writing. So let's go make our edits without using this. Okay, so we'll start because we've got so many databases, as I told you. We call our database and then now we write a statement called update, right? Update. What's the name of the table? Students. Update students. Okay, that one. Update students. No, it's fine. Enforce it. Update student. Let me reduce here. Okay. Set. What do you want to change? The full name. Set full names to the following string. Tendai. And then I'm not sure we should write the where before or the after. I don't think it has got any effect. Where?
String.
Which string? Where the student number, student underscore number, which is the name of the column, it's equals to 20. Remember I said when it's numbers, you don't have to mention it in the screen. 2022-005. Now let's see. Now we want to change, okay, let me execute this again. We want to change this value, right? This one, only here. Replace this by Tendai, right? So let's go execute our statement. Execute, one row has been affected, and then we can go back and check the results. You can see that it has replaced based on that. Now, you can never access, remember when we were speaking of primary keys, we said primary key is a unique identifier, right? So don't ever come here and write us things that let us know, make us aware that you know what is in the table. Ne? So the other way would be, you can come to this table and say, oh, where the email was this, right? But you can't do that. You'll be violating so many laws. You don't reference to a table using any other column beside the primary key. You get it? You can only reference using what? The primary key. Because chances are, if we go to our insert again, let's look for our insert. Insert into what? Let's say here we're now dealing with Sharon, and then this will be sharon@gmail.com. Now let's say by any chance we start pressing execute non-stop, non-stop, then we go check how many Sharons are we gonna have at the end of the day. Execute. Do you see how many Sharons we ended up with? Right? And they've got the same details. Now, the reason I say you don't reference to a table using any other thing here, right? You only use the what? The key, is because if you come now and say, okay, I'm trying to update the full name, right? You can still say where the full name is Sharon. Now, you can imagine that now you will have affected every Sharon on that list. Check, it says 7 rows have been affected, right? What if this was not your intentions? You only wanted to change, certain values. Now, because you were referencing using the name of the person, right? It went and changed everyone where there was Sharon, changed into what? Into Tendai. So that's the reason we have to reference using a unique identifier all the time. So whenever you write the where statement, we are now looking at a primary key, right? Any questions? So we've done insert, update. What's next? I think we're done. Oh, delete. Delete is also very, very simple. I think you just have to, okay, let me do it from a new query. Use all in class, in class, okay. Delete this one is simple. Just from students. From students, where, okay, let me write this way underneath so that it makes sense. Where full names is equals to Tendai. Execute this. 8 rows have been affected. You can see the dangers of not using a primary key, right? Now, if we go to our, it wants me to save, not saving. If we go to our table and execute now, all those people even the other 05 has been removed because they had a full name called Tendai. So that is the delete. I think that one is simple. You don't specify a lot of things. Now, statements like delete, it's a no-no zone for anyone in any industry. There is no delete that must be performed. Right? We use other statement instead of delete. No, like in a table of a database, nothing should be removed, whether it was a mistake or not. Nothing should be removed at all. What else? Okay, the next one we're going to do, truncate. So they use the database call in class and then truncate table. What's the name of the table? Students. Done. This is all truncate. So truncate says if ever you want to clear all values in your table, every value in your table, you can use the statement called truncate. Yes. Like if you're saying, I'm tired with this table, I want to start it from fresh, like with no value at all. But the table is still there. Eh? You can still use the table, but then there will be no value at all. You can see right now we have this. If we implement truncate the table students, right, you can see the command, this one, and it is successfully finished. And I execute, they select all data is gone, right? So this is another statement which you'll never find in any industry. It's there for learning. Eh? When you're learning, you can use truncate. It's easier, especially when you have got foreign keys. The minute you implement foreign keys, there's a point wherein you might want to go clear a certain table so that you can join it with the other one, right? So you cannot really join a table when the other one already has values. So you clear the other one, you join them, you bring back the values. Okay, so that is truncate. Let's learn our last statement. I think this one now is to say you are tired with the table, you want to delete it. So this one, it works in the same manner. Use all in class, but to delete here is to drop. Ne? If you want to remove the whole table, you say drop table students. So this is going to delete the table. Execute command successfully. Now this is easy to check. We just have to refresh the tables. Okay, we are left with the one table called product, right? And then you can also say you can't bring it back. Eh? Once it's gone, it's gone. There's no say, hey, recover. There's no recovery. Let's check. Let me try to drop database. What's the name of the database? All in class. All in class. Might work or not work. Cannot drop table because what? It is currently in use. Okay. What is using it? I'm sure there's something which says designer here. So if you have opened a designer somewhere else and it's looking at the columns or the edit top 200, it's usually not going to be dropped. Execute again. Okay, still can't do it. Chances could be I must log in and log out and log back in. Then I can drop it. But you cannot use words like drop in any industry. Doesn't happen, guys. I've never seen it. Let me check if I've got any of my old databases somewhere else from certain companies. I don't think I'll be able to find anything here. Was it last year? Was it database? Okay, database backup. Where was it? Databases. Ooh, okay. So basically, that's all the queries that you must be careful of. Oh, and then there's this one, but I'm sure you have been seeing it for a very long time. Let me look for a table which was designed by someone. This one here called appointments. Let's see. Okay, user info. So I can easily say select all from user info. Let's hope it will pick it up. Oh, use appointment. There we go. So this one will pull up all the information, right? But if you have seen in most of the tests and the questions that are gonna pop up, sometimes I'll even ask you, what does the top keyword mean? Right? Like when you say select top 1000, what are we saying? But it's clear English. It's just that when it's asking a test or an exam, we're not asking the whole query here. We're just asking you, if we have a query and you see the word top, you know, what does it mean? Then people start saying, it's at the top. You know, it's not at the bottom. Or the word from, right? The word null and things like that. You must be careful of such things. So when I immediately write select all from user, so it picks up all the information that we can get there from that table without leaving anything. But I can also say don't select all, select only what? Let's say surname, right? From that table. Do you see that it's just going to pick up only the surnames, right? But then we prefer selecting all because it shows us everything in the table, even if we don't know the table itself. Okay. What else? You are ready to write. You guys are ready to write. Yes.
You said select all, but you used
A star. Yeah, so the star is for all.
Okay.
Yes. Those are some of the questions you'll find in the test. So what does the star represent?
So if I write all,
All.
the same.
Let's write it. You can see already we've got issues.
Okay.
Yes. We've got issues. Now, for reference, you can learn even more from this site. I prefer this site. Is the W3 schools, right? Just got all the queries that you can learn, even others that we're not even going to touch. But you'll need to know. Like on POE number 6, right? You will be dealing with, I think from here, and I'm not going to teach this, from here, all the way to here. So these are all topics. But you can see the queries we have done so far. Create DB, drop, backup. The backup, you don't really have to know it. You know, it's for server management people. So what they do is to say, every now and then I can go to any database and say, perform a backup of this database, right? So I can go and say, task, where is it? Backup, right? It's very simple. But you can also write a query for this. You can also say, you know, create backup at this specific location at this certain time, right? You can also set it to shrink it if it's too big, detach it from the server, take it offline. That means now you want to copy your database and save it and go home and continue working. Because this one you cannot access when you're home. Okay. That's just a little piece of our lesson, first part of our lesson for database. The other part for today was to deal with connectivity and perform these queries. What time is our break? You haven't been told?
And I think it's after 10.
Usually past. Okay, now jumping to C# now. So let me save the first recording.